let's welcome Siji Adebiyi Benet. He is a social commentator. Welcome to the program.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right. I beg your pardon. I mistook that name. Siji Adebiyi Benet. Am I correct?
No, my name is Siji Adebiyi Benet.
Adebiyi.
Oh, thank you
Apologies.
very much. Apologies. First of all, let's ask, how's your area? Is there any way protest in your area? And what's going on in your area?
Let me say, incidentally, I'm not in the country at the moment.
Oh.
I had to get out for an engagement 2 nights ago. So, but before that,
okay.
My area was calm. Before I left 2 nights ago, it was very calm, and I live very close to where the protest ground is or was, if I may use that, because I don't think anything is going on at the moment. I live in the Magodo area.
Okay.
And it's very close to Freedom Park, which is Ghanify ground, and the Peace Park. So one thing that has been very interesting is from day one, Lagos has been peaceful. Lagos has been amazing. Everything has been done in an orderly manner. The law enforcement also tried in mitigating any unforeseen or unpleasant circumstances. We had a situation, I think, on Thursday and on Friday, whereby pro and anti protesters were about to, get into confrontation, but the law enforcement interfaced with the group and told, I think, the pro-government protesters to just leave the end. Let me not say anti, but the end bad governance protesters, leave them alone and let them have their way. And I saw, even for the fact that I wasn't in Abuja at that time, I saw a news and an image of somebody holding a dagger and a knife, trying to also attack the end bad governance protesters, and the policemen arrested the person. So let's say reasonably and on average, the law enforcement has really tried in trying to make sure this did not get out of hand, apart from the 4 or 5 states in the north where we had something else, and the protest turning into something that we never anticipated.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned it. What's playing out in Lagos now is being very orderly. In fact, the court just okayed, a reconvening of the protesters in just 2 venues. So it looks like there's synergy between government and the protesters. But Siji, I want us to take a look at this, headline on the front page of The Nation. It says, cost of living protests fizzle out in more states and Abuja. Now, I want us to add that to the video we watched before we began this segment of one of the protesters that was sounding very pained. He said, all of us that are refusing to join the protest, or all the people that are refusing to join the protest, by the time that the same bread we are buying for 1.5 becomes 2.5, or the price of fuel becomes 2,000 or thereabout, that's when Nigerians will know that this is important. What's your take on that, though?
The protester at this point, I watched the video, and for me, it's neither here nor there. He has his own right to protest, as well as others also have the right not to protest. Where your fundamental human right ends, that's where another person's own starts from. So if you were moved by the fact that someone else thought it wise not to protest, that's the person's right. So and for me, I think some of the protesters, some emphasis on that, did not anticipate a peaceful protest. So to them, what we had during EndSARS was what they were looking forward to. But believe you me, I don't believe we should have something like that. And a polity should always learn from their mistakes. I've had people say, even the president that we have now was a chief protester in his 80s. Yes, myself, my last protest was in 2012, which was Occupy Nigeria, which was at the same Ganifa in Park. And what happened at those times was the fact that people converged, walked through the streets, and always arrived at a particular point whereby they can hear their grievances and also address the government and the public. And when they needed to go to the government house or to National Assembly or State Assembly, they did that. But at no point were protesters blocking the road at those times. So you don't expect people to feel obligated to join a protest, because some people live from hand to mouth, and if they don't go out on a daily basis, they don't make their income, no matter how little it could be. So we have to imbibe that culture of orderliness, and it happens everywhere. In the UK, last year or a few years ago, people wanted to block the road. The police arrested all of them. In France, just a week or 2 weeks ago, before the start of the Olympics, people blocked the games really because those were the ecologists, not even the public now, the ecologists and environmentalists, saying hosting the Olympics in France was hard to climate change and all other reasons they came forth with. But the government picked all of them, and even a minor amongst them, like 45 people were arrested. Capitol Hill in the US, when Donald Trump lost the election and was saying was encouraging in a subtle manner, they were picked up. So you don't block people, you don't block the right of way of others, you don't constitute yourself to a form of nuisance. That is why, because the right to protest is the right of everybody. I can also go out today, if I was in Nigeria, and protest. So, but I don't have the right to block another person's right of way. And if you look at it, just a few weeks ago, NLC protested as well. The only thing they did that was beyond ordinary was the fact that they shut down the national grid, and which they apologized for. So we all have to imbibe that culture of order, of rule of law, of doing the right things. People have the right to protest, but at the same time, they don't have the right to stop other people from going about their normal duties.
All right, thank you very much, Siji. So what would you say, what are your thoughts about this hoisting of Russian flag in Kano and Zaria? So many assertions, so many allegations have been made that some people or some element saw this protest as an opportunity to propose their own agenda or carry out their own agenda and all that. But what's your thought when you first saw certain people carrying the Russian flag, calling on Russia, to come and take over the government?
I think we were just fixated on the Russian flag issue, but so many things are happening in the north that we have to be careful about. I don't know if you have seen a video of somebody removing the signboard of a police station.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw that too.
I don't know if you saw one of the protesters in the north carrying a placard saying the price of marijuana should be reduced. So these people don't even know the meaning and the reason for the protest. And for every protest, there are always fifth columnists. There are people that want to leverage and take advantage. Why NSAS did not end fairly well was the fact that hijackers took charge. If you could remember that time, I would say, because I say the fact that it is all the time, there was the voice of an agitator from the southeast also telling people where to go burn down. And we had area boys and so many people trying to loot shops. So when you have protests like this, some people will map out their own strategies. They look the hoodlums who will want to leverage financially, the politicians who want to leverage politically. So give it one day, day two, day three, they're watching you, looking at how everything is playing out. If you're not lucky, by day three or by day four, they pounce. So that's why I supported the government when the government said, let us know your route, let us be able to protect you, have a convergence point, because in our history, protests have been done in that manner, in an orderly manner. In 2012, all of us were going to Fire in May Park. We didn't block the roads. So when you see what is happening in the north, it calls for concern. Because even the people holding this, hoisting and holding these flags are mostly minors. They don't even know what they're doing. So some people are trying to make political gain from it. Some people are trying to make economic gain from it. A building was vandalized. Someone said, I watched it on another TV station, that the National Library was even looted, but not one book was taken from it. But we had a situation whereby slabs, brooms were looted. Brooms.
Even dustbin.
Yes. So if you look at this scenario, you will ask yourself what is really happening.
Yeah.
So this is the situation we have found ourselves. What do? The state governors in those areas have done the right thing by issuing a curfew. Kano has been reviewed from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. now. And I think everything is becoming calmer in Yobe and Borno. Kaduna and Kano are the hotspots where we should concentrate on. So let's see how all these things can be abated first. Then the government has said they already know the sponsors and are going after them. But we have to be careful. Youths have seen what happened in Niger, and Niger and Nigeria are brothers.
Just a moment,
welcoming Russia.
Just a moment, Siji. You mentioned something. You said the government said they know about the sponsors and they are going after them. Another report says that they've put some of them on watch lists. Their accounts have been frozen, similar to what happened during EndSARS. Some of the I wouldn't call them sponsors, but people who took part in that EndSARS, they were put on watch lists. Their accounts were frozen. It was almost like some sort of persecution. Do we see something? Do you think something similar might happen now? Are they going after the sponsors or people who took part in the protest? We need to differentiate that.
Yes, let's clarify that now, because I watched the security forces giving the head of security agencies giving their briefings yesterday. For the protesters, the original legal protesters, the government knows them, and the government is interfacing with them. In Lagos, they're interfacing with them, and there have been lines of communications, GSM numbers released to the public, and in other places as well. For example, we had people like the Jade Yonju, very dark man, and some other people in Lagos and Abuja. The government is interfacing with those because they believe they are protesters with genuine interest and reasons. For the ones instigating violence, especially on social media, that are not in Nigeria but outside of Nigeria, and let me bust a bubble. With the racial and racism protests going on in the UK, there was a lady who wasn't at any of those places, but was tweeting and encouraging them online. She's been picked. So that's rule of law. So for people instigating violence that are outside of Nigeria, those are the ones that are on the watch list. And that's what I think the head of immigration said, that when they come into Nigeria, they will just inform the right agencies who will have them pick to explain what they've done. The third categories are the people that are encouraging treason. Those people that gave out the money for those flags to be sold and to be arrested. So those are the ones the government said they know already and they are going after them. So those are the three different categories from my understanding. And we must have a country first before we talk about any other thing.
Absolutely.
I was talking to someone because I was on a trip from Lagos to Ekiti just a few days ago, like 10, 12 days ago. And because she's my staff and she's young, Gen Z as we call them, on the way she felt sick and vomited like 3 different times. So we were in a dilemma because we were on the road. We were afraid of kidnaps and all that, but we still had to stop for her so that she can get water, wash her face and all that. And when we're discussing about the protest, and I'm saying they should let the government know the route, so that people will not hijack. She looked at me as someone that was preventing the protest. I sensed that and I broke it down. I said, "You're a lady. How far can you run? How many ladies are in your family? If anything happens today, what happens to you? How are you going to escape?" That was when it dawned on her that if anything happens, even us talking in the studio, I'm online, but you're there in the studio, will not be safe. So we can give all the reasons people have the right to protest, but by the time the people that don't have the mindset of peaceful protest or objective protest get into the fray, we may not know. What do you think was going through the minds of businessmen in Kano in the last maybe 4 days, or when the looting was going on? I belong to a business community in Lagos, and our present president of the alumni organization lost everything in a shop during NetSAS. I mean everything. So within those 2 days when the protest was brewing, every businessman was in trauma. What happens again? So these are the things, and these are the people, SMEs and MSMEs, that employ 2-3 people and are the highest employers of labor in the country. When you put all of them together, they employ like 60-70% of the people. By the time you put them out of business, what happens again? We have more unemployment, we have more underemployment, we have different series of problems.
Now,
so
as we
should look,
so
you want to look under our noses.
Yeah, so as we wrap this up now, these protesters, the organizers, they have a list and they have some legitimate demands on this list, right? So my last question to you is, how would you like this to pan out at the end of the day, the protest and the response of government to the demands of the protesters?
Constructive, firm, and objective dialogue. I looked at the 10 and raised to 15 point of points that they want the government to address, and I'm like, they're not futuristic. You want subsidy to be back? The country will go broke in a month or 2. You want them to release Nnamdi Kanu? What happens to the judiciary? Different things that don't even affect the hunger we're talking about. My own solution that I've profiled on a few platforms. There should be the leaders of the leadership of the protest should engage the government, and most importantly, the National Assembly. Every week, put it in your point of order. Every week, there must be a deliberation on the welfare of Nigerians, once a week minimum. And the leadership, the youth leadership and the protest leadership must be allowed to be part of those deliberations, so that we can promulgate laws and we can find a solution together for the betterment of our country. That's a starting point. So, because by the time you have 10 days protest and you go back to your houses, what next? What happens next? So those are the things. We must be involved in everything that is going in terms of laws, in terms of policies. For me, that's what they need to do. Then, second base is subnationals, the state governors. It was the government is even very silent on the things they're doing. It was during this protest that we had that the state governors were given 570 billion naira. Lawyer Falana said yesterday that everybody should go back to their state and ask the governors what they're doing with their money, or with the money they've collected. 10 billion was given to each state governor for CNG. Now we should decentralize that. We have 774 local governments. If you give one CNG bus or 2 CNG buses to each local government, then I will go to my state in Ekiti. I will ask my local government chairman, where are the CNG buses? Which road are you putting them on? They don't have immunity. Protest will be more impactful there because we will go to his house within the community. So those are the things. Then the presidency. As you're engaging subnationals, you're engaging the National Assembly, you're engaging the executive. So that is the way forward. We cannot keep... I support the protest, but I don't just want it to get out of hand. And Lagos, I want to say kudos to the protesters in Lagos. I want to say kudos to the Lagos state government and other states that have done beautifully well. Other states can borrow a leaf from that. Let us all put our thinking caps on and find a way for our country to get out of this mess.
All right, thank you very much, Siji, Adebiyi, Benet. We do appreciate your thoughts with us this morning, and of course, we hope to hear from you again.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.